Now, well, students, today I will interact with you through this video by telling you about the concept and the importance of this environment. Now, there is no doubt today we are at a turning point with respect to our surroundings in which we live. And what is that turning point with respect to our environment? When we talk of air around us, when we talk of water around us, when we talk of land, humans, plants, animals, resources, and much more, and everything is being exploited at a very alarming rate. This excessive exploitation of our own resources has led to devastation and natural calamities. Now, if we talk of the extreme weather events since from the summers of 2015 and then the winter of 2016 and the current summer of 2020, basically all these extreme events, they have in the past impacted us and the natural resources, and today they are going to have the negative effects on our resources. Now, this onset of warmer winters, for that matter, previously, as far as Kashmir's this weather is concerned, it has brought some devastation to the farmers. The fruit growers, they were worried that their harvest will be under threat because if we talk of apples for that matter, they need around 1200 to 1800 chill hours so that they could bloom ideally. Now, previously, what had happened that those hours they missed those hours. Now, as far as the climate and weather of Kashmir is concerned, our state, our agriculture is dependent on snowfall and the cold weather. With the result, once there is onset of more summer seasons and there are no chill hours, or I can say there is very little rainfall or snowfall during colder weather. With the result that today you will see that our water supply is decreasing. That is under threat. We today get hardly the pure water to drink. Every time, whenever, whether it is a marriage ceremony, whether we go on a picnic, on an excursion, or we go into the market, either we carry our own bottled water or we purchase it from the shops. Nobody is there to drink water directly from the pipes or the tap. So there are numerous common sites of where this drinking water just mixes with the sewage. There are cases of joints. Joints is a disease which is caused by the when water is not pure, when water contains some these elements, fecal matter elements. There are numerous waterborne diseases. And we know that there is no provision, almost all no provision for safe drinking water, and there is no provision for safe sanitation, proper sanitation or safe sanitation, would, which could have reduced the illnesses among the humans. Now, recent news in the month of August, it was reported that a famous wetland of Kashmir, that is Wooler Lake, lot of sewage and solid waste is being dumped on the borders of this famous water body. These evidences, these episodes of destruction have also been reported earlier. If I quote the daily newspaper of the Valley, Greater Kashmir, I remember the day that's February 2, 2016, in which the report says that about 22 wetlands and water bodies have been lost in and around the city Srinagar. Not only this, but our forests, they are also depleting. The habitat loss is occurring at an alarming rate. The cause of this loss is extension of our orchard lands and agricultural fields because of the lot of pressure increase in the human populations. There are reports that by 2050 the world population will reach 9 billion and the demand for food will double. If everything goes well, in spite of this COVID 2019, then the conditions may reach where we need more and more food. However, if this corona takes, uh, God forbid, a good toll on the population, on the human populations, then there are chances that some food may be saved to feed the people, to feed the hungry people who are alive at that time. The expansion of urban areas has also led to encroachment upon agricultural land. This is another issue. Now, when I talk of air, air is getting dirty day by day. As we know today, the primary source of cooking is firewood and LPG, with the later, that is LPG, being maximally used by larger populations. There is no now rural and urban bias as far as this cooking material firewood is concerned. Almost rural, in rural areas as well, there the primary fuel today is has become, it has taken the seat. LPG has basically taken the seat at the cost of the firewood. Now, during winter months in Kashmir, coal for that matter is used for heating stoves, coal bukharis. During the winter months, basically it adds huge amounts of hazardous substance into the environment. Now, day by day, the number of vehicles, they are on an increase. They are increasing. Now, with the result, the emissions from these vehicles, they are added to the air, and the air pollutants, they are also on increased. The kerosene, which is being seldom used for cooking, is mixed with petrol and largely with diesel to run the vehicle so that cost of the fuel can be minimized. This burning of adulterated fuel has its own manifestations and it needs to be looked upon. The burning of LPG and firewood is the major cause of indoor air pollution. Another problem where this indoor air pollution, now most of the people they are not aware of this indoor pollution and its impact basically, and people give very little or least attention to this problem. But I perceive, what I feel, that it needs special attention. We don't have proper ventilated kitchens where this exhaust could have gone outside your kitchen or outside your building or home. Now, practice of another issue which you might have seen on the your television during the month of December 2019, paddy stubble is affecting the health of the people living in and adjoining areas of Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi. In nutshell, I will tell you that the air has become hazardous. As per one of the estimates that when we burn 1 ton of this citra, paddy citra, it releases 2 kgs of sulfur dioxide. It releases 1460 kgs of carbon dioxide. It releases 60 kgs of carbon monoxide and 3 kgs of particulate matter. Now you can well imagine what could be the impact of these different kinds of air pollutants. If we see a medical data across India, you will see coughing and chest infections, they have reportedly increased. Now, with the increase in quantum of unattended garbage dumps have added visual air, water and soil pollution. Everywhere there are heaps of these garbage dumps. Now this problem has increased further as these dumps not only give some create uh, some volatile substances or they get added to the atmosphere or air which are released from these garbage dumps, but it also invites some unwanted those animals here, for example dogs and some flies and everything, and it is putting lot of uh, problems around and ultimately putting our the human lives in particular at risk. One study which I did for a very short period of time during the year 2014 and 15, the cases of dog bites recorded at SMHS Hospital, Srinagar, they have increased from 4,1917 in the year 2014 and 15 with average value of 409 bytes per month to 5,764 in just 9 months with an average value of 640 bytes per month. Now you can well imagine the quantum of unattended garbage dumps around us. Now another threat, that is the natural disasters. Earthquakes, they are getting intense nowadays. We know that the India's Himalayan regions are vulnerable to it. Now, one study that has been carried out by National Disaster Management Authority, that is called as in short NDMA, about 59% of India is vulnerable to earthquakes. The frequency of earthquakes has increased manifold based on the available records. Now, for your information, in the year 2010, 6 earthquakes were felt, whereas in the year 2015, 27 earthquakes were felt. across the country. We need to take measures and follow the building rules. My point is here that we have, whenever we go for the construction of a building, shopping malls, houses, shops, whatever construction takes place, government buildings, colleges, schools, we have to take the measures so that we follow the building rules which have been laid down in as per the disaster management strategy. Now, overall, when I give you some basic ideas regarding this environment, our surroundings, my surroundings, your surroundings, the overall scenario is alarming, and there is a need to inculcate among the masses the concept of environment and the understanding the importance of water, air, and soil. And also they should be made aware that what is pollution, what is the climate, what should be the quality of life, what is global warming, what are earthquakes, what is geology, and what is geography. Now, in the previous slide, you have seen the overall scenario, and that is alarming. Now, when I come to brief you about the concept of this environment, let me first define this environment term as such, because I may not be able to define environment as such, but I will try to put it under within the brackets, because environment as such is very huge term when I talk of surroundings, because surroundings they change from organism to organism. For that matter, if I put a cow somewhere in the field, from the cow's perspective, environment will be different. At the same place, if I am present there, from my perspective, my environment will be different from that of cow. So to put this term within the inverted commas, it is very difficult. But still, we can define this term, the concept of this environment. Basically, concept, when I say concept of this environmental study, it gives us the understanding. Basically, concept gives us, it gives us the understanding of what? Of the relationships between what? Between different kinds of plants, animals, microbes, air, water, soil, temperature. Basically, it also tells us how to sustain life. If, for example, I will not give cow some grasses or water for some day, definitely what will happen, what is going to happen? The cow, it will die because of non-availability of the food. How it explains that how we are able to sustain life. Taking food on daily basis, drinking some water on daily basis, having some nutritional foods on everyday basis, we have learned to live in the environment, in our surroundings, because we have understood the interrelationships. For that matter, I know how to grow plants, how to grow healthy plants. I have understood the relationship between quality of the soil, water, the sun, nutrients of the soil, microbes of the soil, and its relationship with respect to the plant. That is why I am able to grow my crops. Similarly, I know how to survive. I know I have to eat plants. I had to grow plants and then I could consume those plants. I know I had to take some material of the animals as well, so that I could prosper, I could grow in terms of my body. So therefore, whatever instances or episodes are happening around, what kind of episode, that there is basically interdependence of one organism to another organism. This is basically in my mind that I have understood the interrelationships between these different kinds of plants and animals. Now, anything affecting the environment, good or bad, will involve us, and the extent we are affected depends upon the environment. I have understood it. By concerning about our environment will let us know about the air, water, soil, plants, animals, microbes, land, etc. For example, what kind of agricultural farming we should follow. This is a point. Similarly, it makes us understand, it makes me understand the ability of plants and animals to sustain and adapt. Because, for example, if I am living in Srinagar and I want to do some agriculture, but it is not possible for me to some put some crops to invest on the crops like orange and bananas or mangoes, because I have understood the relationship between environment and these plants. I know that these mangoes, these lemons, these bananas, they are not going to grow and they are not going to adapt. It is this knowledge, it is this concept of the environment and concept of the surroundings, that I am judgmental what to do, what not to do. And based on this knowledge, I am able to understand that how I am contributing towards the environment, or how I am modifying my environment. But that modification is as per my wishes and as by my greeds. Thus, I can see the concept of environment, or the studies which I make on our surroundings or environment, it gives me the understanding of the interrelationships between plants, animals, microbes, air, water, soil, and temperature. Basically, having concept of my surroundings, it empowers me. It gives me some sort of power. What kind of power it gives me? It gives me the power of monitoring, that I'm able to monitor. It gives me the power of measurements. I'm able to measure. It gives me the power of, it empowers me by the power of assessing the environment. I can assess bad as well as good impacts on my environment. Now, based on this little bit of this knowledge on our surroundings and environment, number first, it gives me now this knowledge or this understanding or this concept, it gives me the understanding of the nature of the environment. For illustration, The moon is without atmosphere, so life is not possible. While as the earth has atmosphere and life is possible. So therefore, it is by virtue of the concept, understanding of the concept of the environment, that I am able to understand the difference between moon and the earth. Otherwise, every would have been asking that kindly take me to the moon, kindly take me to the moon. Nobody will. You will see that no one will say yes, please carry me to the moon because he knows I cannot survive. Similarly, when I develop this kind of understanding of this environment, this gives me also the understanding of water, soil, plants, animals, microbes as well. Now, since I have basic idea, now you have a basic idea. Every one of us have this basic idea regarding this environment or our surroundings. Whatever issues are there associated with this environment, we will understand. You and me will understand. And I know that the survival of me and you is dependent on the resources or material around us. For that matter, for example, the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, where from we get it. Basically, we are enjoying them from the nature. Tomorrow you just put some seeds somewhere, it grows after some time, and you start eating. Say, for example, soil will say, no, stop. I will not going to help you. I will not grow your crops. I will not grow your fruits. What will happen? With the result, whatever gifts of the nature we were enjoying, this enjoyment will stop. Why the soil? They will say no, stop, because why it will stop? Because we have modified the soil. We have modified the land, and this is worrisome. The excessive use of water, for that matter, excessive use of water, misuse of this water, it has brought to us water pollution. The excess use of automobiles, excessive burning of fossil fuels. This has brought to us air pollution. There are basically a good number of a large number of issues which we should read and we should comprehend of our own, that how we can contribute towards our surroundings, because these surroundings are responsible for the survival of the humans. The concept, and I have this concept, this gave me an experience of monitoring our surroundings, and definitely once you go through the concept of this environment, it is going to give you an idea, an experience of monitoring your surroundings. Then based on your experiences, you will be able to provide some management practices. For example, somewhere at some place you will see some dirt and some wastes. Your quick action would be that please carry this waste and just dump it somewhere, if it's simply an agriculture waste or solid waste or kitchen waste, whatever waste. This is the management practice which you can practice. Without the knowledge or studies or the concept of the environment, was it possible for you and me to think of our surroundings? Probably your answer would be no. Now, everybody understands today if we are interested in keeping our environment livable. Livable means that it should carry life. We need to understand the environment so that whatever future generations come, they should be able to survive and sustain. Now, the environmental study is the branch that studies basically all living and non-living things. Not only living and non-living things, basically it's a window. Environmental study is a window. Through this window, we can study living things as well as non-living things. We can also, in addition to living and non-living things, which we already study in botany and zoology, but through this window of the subject, through the window of environment, we can study societies as well, which is not possible in botany and zoology because they are the specialized fields which concentrate on the plants and animals. But through the window of this environment, we can study living beings, non-living things, we can study societies, we can study communities, we can study populations which are present in our surroundings. Thus, it is not only the branch of science, you can say it is not the branch of science, but it is also associated. It has its connection with the humanities as well. Whatever changes they occur in our environment, it directly or indirectly affects the components. What kind of components they are there, it affects. So therefore, we can say whenever change happens, there may be changes are basically two types: positive change and a negative change. When it change happens at any place, that change, it is a very significant change. So therefore, it also is important to study that whether this change is for the welfare of the people or that change is against the people. This study of environment is also helpful in solving many problems, and it helps us to understand the fundamental relationships between living and non-living components or items. The window, as I just told you, the window, it also helps us to study the societal problems, if any. For example, there is a well, and that well is polluted for that matter, and people are dependent for their daily water on that well. What needs to be done? That at the society level, all should get around the well and they should start cleaning. Similarly, there are several instances that through the window of this environment, we are able to just solve the problems as far as our societies are concerned. Now, once we study this environment, it is helpful. It is helpful in solving the problems like depletion of ozone layer, depletion of biodiversity, global warming, pollution, impact of. There are basically several impacts. We can study those impacts. There are some crises as far as the crisis of environment is concerned. Energy crisis are the biggest crisis today. Those crises can be studied, and maybe once we study those crises, they can be minimized. And this environmental study, it is also helpful in sustaining life support systems. Hygiene, living conditions, and clean drinking water. It gives us the concept. Town planning is the concept which can be helpful once we go through the window of this environment. Location of the industries, or for that matter, environmental impact assessment. environmental impact assessment. We can also do all kinds of these activities through the window of this environment.